welcome to this afternoon's webinar. It's a gloriously sunny afternoon here in London. I hope it is wherever you've joined us in Europe or worldwide. And I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Rachel Harris, who's logging in from Hamburg as we speak. And I think I'll not waste any more time, but hand you over to Rachel and our first student, Morag, our first performer, Morag Johnson, who's joining us from Rennes in Brittany, in France. Morag's going to be working on some Bach with us, and I'll put up the link in the chat so you can follow the music if you like. It's the Gigue from BWV 1004, in the partita in D minor. So Rachel, welcome. Lovely to see you this afternoon.
Thanks, Tati. Thanks. Really great to be here and to see you three lovely violinists. And Morag, it's great to see you again. You were with us last time. So lovely.
Shall I start?
Yeah, that would be great. Are you going to play with or without repeats? How about once through and then?
Yeah, I'll do it without the repeats. I think that's enough.
Okay. Yeah. Well done. Wow, that was almost entirely from memory.
Yeah.
Well done. That's really great. And in so public a place as this to do that, well done. I know that's I have to say I used to play a lot from memory and I've actually given up just because I've asked myself, one, is that the ideal of that time? And secondly, because I've got kids. And I just don't have the energy to do that. But I think it's brilliant you do, because it gives us a very different sense of the piece. And I like what you've done with it. And I think, because last time when we were working together, I spoke a lot about Bach's village, his the town, the musical town, and you're showing them around the town, and it feels like it needs a few buildings and a bit of profile. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I actually thought I'd prepare for this. I also prepare for these, and I thought, all right, I'll dissect it harmonically, and I did. And what I find very interesting is that there are some parts where it's not really clear what he wants. In other words, you could have an alternative harmonic structure underneath. It depends what you take as important.
Yeah.
My starting point is something that someone said or wrote, which is that all music, at least this music, is composed out of thirds, a major third, a minor third. So if you take any chord basis in being some sort of third, and
yeah.
So I went and looked for this, and I found that the minor ones tend to be diminished chords, and majors sometimes have a seventh in it, actually. So that was quite interesting. In the very beginning, we have this. So I had a few surprises for myself as well, right? So you never stop learning with these pieces. So we have in the very first bar, you have a D minor, and then you have an A major with a 7.
Okay.
Which forces you down, which I think is quite odd, actually. I mean, it's a bit of a dissonance. It's an unresolved circumstance which gets resolved in the very straightforward chords of the second bar. Do you know what I mean? Then just a very with the 7. So we have just this. He's setting up the situation again. So we have, which he likes to do often before he gets in a roll. So he sets just the D, da, D. So that's his framework. And then the piece starts. Then he does a circle of fifths. And actually, I was thinking, how would you do it? This is another little game that I like to play. How would you compose it if you were not so good as Bach? What would a different composer do? I would have not put the 7th in because I'm not genius. And I would have started the 3rd bar exactly how the 4th bar goes. It's sort of like, then we realize, oh, that's where his genius is, Yeah. So we have the circle of fifths, 3rd bar. And this is where it gets interesting. He's actually not continuing. It is, in a way, the note is a bass line, will be the circle of fifths, but it's his diminished. And then you can, I don't want to, this is probably me talking too much again, but this is then towards cadences, he stretches the length of a harmonic pulse. Because this way we also find out a harmonic pulse, and then we can add little details. So we have then which is almost the same as at the end of the first half. There are a few interesting bits coming on later, but I wonder now with this knowledge how you would play that.
I just have one question about when you said about the pulse. Can you repeat that? What do you mean by that?
Well, you can find the tempo of a piece by its harmonic pulse, how fast the chords change in a bar. So if you have a slow movement, you will have a lot of harmonic changes, a lot of harmony changes in a bar, per bar. If you have a fast piece, you'll have a bar of one chord and the next bar of another chord. And so you can actually play the music faster when it doesn't change so fast. So that's why we play the first movement so much slower. And that's why we play the fugue maybe at a certain tempo. or a presto really fast because the whole first bar is in one key.
Yeah.
So, and that will also dictate, in a sense, what you do with it, or where you can put your, your brackets.
Yeah.
So we have a bracket here, the opening. And then we set off. Cadence. To find the bracket.
Okay, I get it. Yeah.
I play it fairly fast, but it's not a presto. Just so you don't worry about it, it's not a presto. The presto is with him in these pieces. He only does it twice, and I think it's the fastest of all tempi that he puts in. And he just writes giga, so it's you don't have to play that fast. How about you playing?
Lovely. Should I just do that bit just at the beginning there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So armed with that information, I'm thinking.
So it's the question: how does one show this information in sound? So it's a bit about also maybe if you keep if you have a longer stretch. So in the beginning you are playing fairly small impulses, dum ta dum dum ta dum dum tum, for a harmony which is going tum 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 tum.
Yeah.
So I would say try the beginning a bit differently. Maybe put your stresses a bit more towards how the harmony is doing it. So that means actually not putting more stresses in, but taking some out.
Yeah. So like dun dun da ga dun dun
I know that's what a lot of people would think. They either think either toward the bottom or toward the top. And I used to think as well, oh, the top is nice. No, the bottom is nice, so we should go to the bottom. And then you get like this. Where's the A7 then? Where's the seventh?
I see.
Yeah, that's why we take it apart a bit and we find, oh, there's a seventh in that chord and he's actually put it at the top. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
So what about doing tum chi dum pum dum pum? No, but is it? You see, this is the dilemma. We've got this information. Let's see. Oh, we can look at it like this as well. So we've had a look at it as in 2 beats, 4 beats, 2 beats. Now I've just looked at it as 2 beats going to the middle of the first bar and then going away. So we've had now what I just did was statement and then question.
Yeah.
The way around.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Shall I try it with the 7 and see how it sounds different?
Yeah.
Okay. So
maybe it's like a general thing, and maybe that is, if I find I'm not getting what I want from my playing, then I change the way I'm thinking and think, okay, that was not the way I should be thinking. So if we think now, the first bar extrovert and the second bar introvert, or the other way around. Do you know what I mean?
Shall I try?
Yeah. I think it's more that direction.
Yeah. So more character.
Yeah. And then what I could say is the 16ths, right? And semiquavers, that they could do with a bit more difference in articulation to each other.
Yes.
They were fairly similar, and that's what I mean also by profile. That one takes a bit. You can play some wishy-washy, as I call it, the broad, very broad stroke with no start and no end, or with profile, you know, with glottal stops and things like that. The beginning you can do the other way around as well, you know. Would you like to try that?
So in the beginning,
starting introvert, and then extrovert. That's quite nice on a repeat, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I try it, and just with the semiquavers. So do you mean like? So I'll try now because I think before I'm more wishy-washy. So maybe now I try with like ta da or something. And but do by like different profile, do you think as well? Like I try da ga 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 da, or do you think still having that long line to the cadence? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing about circle of fifths. It's just da 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 dee da dee. It won't be. It's actually a big line, and it's a sort of it's a regular quote that the period Baroques of the time of the 18th century would have automatically known. Oh, right, okay, well, I know this bit. And so you can just play flow and then you come to an end. So I would put the structure as in setting the D minor scene.
Yeah.
Here we go in a circle of fifths and cadence.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I can't see your bow arm very well, actually.
Yeah. Should I do this?
Yeah, can you just play from the 16th, please?
Yeah.
Are you sorry, are you playing, you're not doing wishy-washy now, are you?
No.
No. And how about mixing?
Okay.
Okay, and remix the cards and give us another version.
Okay.
And more extreme.
Okay.
Yeah. Am I going against what you'd like, actually?
No, not necessarily. Do you know what? I am like, I guess like at the moment I'm working more on like that ta sound. And it's still new to me, so it makes me laugh because it's just like not my comfortable region.
Okay, so a question up with wishy-washy. It's my very, very special way of saying a particular stroke, actually, and that is where I'll try and get the bow arm in. It's a very, 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 no, purely horizontal stroke. And then you add a little bit of weight and a bit of direction to it. I'll take it down, then you can see a bit. If I want to do a bit more, the opposite of it would be. Let me see. If I had a bit more profile in, so I'm sticking, for example, to the string. That makes quite an articulation. The wishy-washy takes it all out. There's no articulation. It's wishy-washy. So,
yeah.
And I think when I think of bow strokes, I think of parabols. So I think of a parabol is this shape, a mathematical graph, or this shape. No, in this case, I think of it this way around with the bow. Yeah, and there are different shapes. You can have this way, you can have this way, and you can have this way. And sometimes we play. So this is quite a steep parabol. and then it goes. So you can have in different depths, and this is also not just when the bow is in the air, but also on the string. So I'm slow motion. I'm fairly straight with this. I'll take it down again a bit, maybe like this. I'm fairly straight here, and then I go a little parabole in. And sorry, Morag, but I get the feeling that this is something that I had to generally for the listeners and viewers just explain a bit. Now, what I see a lot is a lot of fingers. In modern violin, we're taught a lot about using fingers, and the most thing that I have to do with getting a baroque bow stroke out of someone is to stop them using their fingers and use the arm as a unit.
Yes.
So it's almost better. In this one, I'm actually not using my fingers. I mean, there is this bendiness, this sort of like sponginess, absolutely. But for certain strokes, this wishy-washy, switch off the fingers. And it's funny, but it makes such a difference. It's got something to do about the start and the stop of the bow speed. It'll affect the sound at the start and at the end, especially at the start of the bow stroke. So I'm sorry, Morag. Could
great.
you do your?
I want to try it again. Let me just tune this E string. Just 1 second.
Yeah. It's I think one of the hardest things for modern originating players to switch off is this fingers, and it gives an incredible immediacy from the bow arm to your note. Sorry, so that was just an aside. How about go from the beginning, and then you can.
And I'll try this. I'll try a bit of wishy-washy, bit of the other thing. The teeth.
Great. Yeah. Now you're getting a vocabulary in. Yes. Because then you can use different types of bow stroke. I think that was brilliant. Yeah. And it's almost, we just have to remind ourselves to do that. Yeah. And then it is just also, does it fit here? Does it fit there? And it's all about experimenting. It's not just about, I think we have to do that at the same time as when we learn a piece, that we experiment with what is possible. Shall I do this? Sometimes I like to practice, all right, I'll play the whole movement through and I'll just think of my verses, long versus short. Maybe that's a thing to try. Go for it. I'll let you play a bit longer now.
When you say long and short, you mean?
So wishy-washy against articulated. And then, of course, there are in-between things. But then you might find, oh, I tried the long there and it didn't work so well. But then you know it.
Yeah. Okay. Right, I'll try a bit longer from the top, and I'll just experiment more with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then is the question, if, for example, first thing, that was really good. I thought that was great. It makes such a difference. And I'm just sort of like, the next thing comes straight out. I'm sorry. The next thing is to ask oneself, do I always do an arpeggiated passage or something else with slurs? Do I always play it in this way? Because if so, there must be another way. It's just we've got a habit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And also, I think because, like, often, like, if I look at a piece of music in the beginning, I'm like, oh, there's a line, there's an arpeggio. And already I'm like, that's already. So it's interesting you say to question that.
Mm. Yeah, because maybe you think, today I'm feeling quirky, I'll play this line like this, or today I'm feeling heavier and I want to play it like this, and then that's fine. That's totally okay. Um, the other thing that I wanted to generally touch on, actually,
Yeah.
coming to all solo pieces, and it happens so often with Bach as well, because most people play the Bach. That's just how it is, and that is the question of temperament. Have you thought about what tuning you're playing in?
Only up until the point of what makes me feel the best. Which is,
Okay, yeah.
but what would you suggest for this?
Well, I get the feeling that um, that is the common stance, and then people usually play what they learnt it in, which is usually in unequal temperament of sorts. Maybe one which sounds a bit tempered and is a bit nice. But why not try and go for higher, slightly higher Fs, slightly lower sharps, that sort of thing, and
Yeah.
then see how does that feel? Because then when you play the something in an E major key, you're going to be shocked by the difference
Yeah.
in color,
Yeah.
and it gives it a little spice, I think.
Yeah.
So that's just an idea, or the B flats a bit higher.
Yeah.
I mean, the general tuning that I think was possibly used at that time in for string players is just a sort of sixth comma thing.
Yeah.
Now, what we play in with Valotti today, that's a keyboard tuning, and it's not very friendly for strings. So there has been a really amazing American musicologist, Ross Duffin, who said, I mean, he's written brilliant books, and he's also written a wonderful article on why we should play in six comma standard for orchestra and things like that. And I think it's the reasoning he gives is so brilliant. And why not play this in six comma mean tone? So you just take your app and you can have a look and see, oh, where? Oh, the B flats go that way and that.
Yeah.
Just see what it feels like.
Yeah.
Good practice for general harmony. How about doing again from the beginning? I want you play the first half now, and I could see that you were using less finger. You
Yeah.
were concentrating on that. It felt more immediate what you were doing.
Yeah.
Now you've got this versus of long versus short.
Yeah.
It relates automatically to how much bow you use.
Yeah.
So you can bring that in now.
Yeah. Okay.
Next challenge.
So from the top and how far? Just
Oh, first half.
the whole of the first half?
Uh,
No.
yeah, unless you feel like you want to stop.
Okay, I'll give it a bash.
Okay, okay, Morag. We've that's where sort of like the end of the known world. We've reached the end of the known world. Now you're getting back into your old world.
Am I?
Yeah, I could sort of you can feel when it's sort of like getting back into
Yeah.
an old or a different way of thinking. We can feel that. We can hear that.
It's super interesting.
Yeah, so as soon as you stop concentrating on what you want on and thinking on exactly how you're going to get it,
Yeah,
hear that.
yeah.
We can hear your focus of intention.
Yes, and it's super interesting because the focus has switched. In the beginning, I'm like, yeah, and then down here, I'm like, oh, we have to go up high now, and that's why it's switching.
Yeah,
What happens there? It's super.
yeah,
You can hear that.
absolutely. And I think if we take it apart again and think and concentrate on what we do with the harmony, if we just go through it short, really quickly, then so we've had our cadence down in bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3 in the keyboard harmony, 4, 3. So that's very typical. D, C, F. I can't play and sing and speak at the same time. F. Now we have another. This was complicated. Working this one out was quite complicated. Mm-hmm. And I came up with actually it took me a while. I took about 3 different routes before I found one where I thought, okay, this could be, it's fairly, if you follow the keynotes, we have, another type of fifths, isn't it? Yeah. But shortened into 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So really quite fast. Whereas this other one was a very slow motion one. Was that one. And then we have this. Can't sing that fast. So it's another circle full of fifths, but very fast moving. Yeah. This is the fastest moving figure harmonically that we've had yet. Mm-hmm. And after that, he goes back to slow, I have to say. So we've had. I won't sing now. That's finishes. That's the end. There isn't a one at the end. Da, dee, da. What do you notice about this bit? What have we had now in this minor piece?
Yeah, like to me, this is like something new. Like
lots and lots of major floating around, isn't it? Yeah. And so we have this F major after F major, C major, F major, B flat major. And then G minor. But it's not so bad because of what I think of as implied harmony. And this implied harmony means you feel what you've had in the harmony you've just had, and it sort of floats over into what you're getting. That happens later on quite a bit, but here the G minor is so still connected to the B flat major, so it doesn't feel so bad, and it's in an inversion. No, it's not in an inversion. Back to C major. It's not so bad, the little G minor, is it? You usually think of G minor as fairly tragic, but then we have this. This is now an interesting one where you can. It's a mixture of where it's sort of going from one harmony to another to a type of harmony on a keyboard where you just add more chords in the right hand. Yeah. I was trying to work this one out. So it was a C major, but actually there was another possibility, and there was another harmony that was possible there. I think, there was another one there, but there are such possibilities. You can say, oh, it could also be, what could it be, an F major or something? No, that's the next chord. There are multiple possibilities, and then it's just interesting to see, well, what could it be? Or this note here implies a seventh, Are you playing from the facsimile?
No.
Okay, so when you get the there is theoretically an A major on the on the first beat of that bar. It's an A major 7 chord. There's a 7. You see these little hidden, then this tied over notes, the A major 7, this one, makes sense if you think that if he had a bass line there, they might have played on that note.
Yeah. Yeah. Could I just also ask? Oh.
Yeah, I know. I understand, Teddy. Yeah, got it.
Good. Yes, I just wanted to ask about the end as well of the whole thing, because to me, well, I don't know. I think there's lots of different ways that the end can be played, and I just wanted to know, like, what your take on it was.
Well, I would look at it like this: that the last bar is all in one key.
Yeah.
So the last note is not as important as the beginning in the way, you know, or the top or something. We've got this is interesting to find. Can you find another pedal point at the end of the first half? There is a pedal point from here, and then the chords are changing in the right hand here.
Yeah.
So we've had an E. So maybe you can find something like that for the second half.
Yes.
And then it'll tell you in a way how to play that. I think. It's only the Nachsatz, you know, it's only the little bit that came at the end. You've had the dilemma and all that before, and then it's like, okay, it's D minor.
Yeah.
My speech has come to an end. I have finished. That sort of thing. I have finished.
Thank you so much, Rachel. That was super interesting.
Thank you, Morag. Well done. I hope to see you soon again. Yeah?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely stunning, Morag. Sorry to interrupt. It's just we could listen all afternoon, I'm sure. Rachel, there was a question from one of our audience called Els about how do you know you're more used to playing an equal temperament? How to adjust in these different temperaments? You know, what intervals do you aim to make pure? Els asks, is it thirds and sixths? Is it fifths? Is it? It's rather a big topic, but over to you.
Yeah, well, I think it's a dilemma that modern string players do have a lot, because they are taught to play in equal temperament, and yet have to learn a scale in thirds, a scale in sixths, which cannot be in equal temperament if it's to sound in tune. So we have those are tempered. Those are tempered. I think if one were to come from out of the blue and have no experience at all, the easiest way would be to get. Everybody's got a smartphone nowadays. The easiest way is to get a tuning app, and I would be great. You know, I'm happy to help with suggestions. What sort of apps to get, which are simple, and I can go in more detail if there's any direct Q&As at the end of the session. But the difference between a modern C sharp and a Baroque C sharp, I tend to simplify it for string players who don't have so much in-depth. I mean, this is how it was for me when I came from, you know, modern violin, and I didn't know, you know, how you're supposed to find where this C sharp is. And I don't know things about temperance, or didn't then, you know, and then I thought, okay, well, I'll just make the sharps a bit lower, the flats a bit higher. You can think of them as rubber bands. The sharp means that the C sharp belongs to C. The B flat will belong to the B. It's very simplified. It's a little bit more in detail when you think, oh, the F has to go up a bit as well. Ooh. And where do you put the C, being the fundament of a tuning system? Not the A. now it's still, the tuning system starts on a C. So this is where an app can really help. You can play to the app, or you can have the app play to you. So if I have here in the beginning, the fifth will take us as in tune. That's even with a temperament. I will probably tune pure fifths just because I'm most at home. I feel safe. I feel comfortable with that. And then I'll put my F somewhere nice. So not in where the piano will have it, but I'll tune it to this. And when it's really in tune, it's best up here. Do you hear a third note at the bottom? There will, if that's perfectly in tune, so that it's within itself in tune, you will get this bass note, which you can't hear very well on lower instruments, but you can hear the higher you go, the higher it will come up as well, so you can hear it. And that's how you can experiment and play around with what does it sound. And the more you get to a fifth, the more the bass note rises with you. So that's quite a nice little game. But for this, that's quite a high F. That's a sort of quarter comma mean tone, high F. That's sort of nice and juicy if you're playing very early music. But then, so that's then a very low C sharp. If it's a, that's a modern one. And even the E string will be taken quite low in most temperaments, and which is always a bane of a violinist. But I mean, we live with it. Unless we're playing A major, I will take my E string down. So I hope that's enough for now. Any more questions? We can put them at the end. I'm very, very happy to answer them. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Rachel. And yes, you can see in the chat. Yes, you could, it could be heard, your bass notes, the harmonics, and which is fantastic, even over the computer. Brilliant. Well, it's lovely to see so many of you tuning in from all over Europe and further afield. Actually, I'm spotting a few familiar names in our attendees. Just a very quick hello and welcome to Peter, actually, who was a long-standing trustee of the Brook Street Band for many years. So it's lovely you've tuned in to watch us today. Thank you, Peter. Now, Manuel, are you ready to play?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. I'll just say a couple of words about you and then straight over to you and Rachel. So Manuel is joining us today from Bremen. And again, already on the professional scene, no longer studying really. And you're going to play today Pisendal, is that correct? The
Yes.
first movement of the A minor sonata. So very different in style to Bach.
Yes.
Great contrast, and very much looking forward to hearing it. I'll hand you over to Rachel.
Thank you.
Hi, Manuel. Nice to see you.
Hi, Rachel. Nice to see you too.
Yeah. You're using a modern edition, I believe.
Well, yes and no. I'm trying to play from the manuscript, but yeah, sometimes I'm also switching to a modern edition.
Yeah. Okay. That's no problem. I think that's fine. Go ahead. I say.
Okay, thank you.
Well done. Well done. Oh, I know this piece.
I'm sorry, I'm a bit nervous.
No, I know, but this is why we do it. This is such a bastard of a piece to play when you're nervous. This is my first question to you. Do you have, you're going to say you're playing this in a concert, forget today, say you're playing it in a concert. Do you have a plan B for when you're nervous?
A plan B piece, do you mean?
No, a plan B. You know what you're going to be like when you're nervous. Do you have a plan B?
For not being nervous.
No, I know what happens with me when I'm nervous. Okay, I'll tell you what happens. I'll tell everybody. The whole world is allowed to know. This is what happens. When I get towards the lower bow here, I go, all right, okay. Ugh. So my plan B, if I'm ending a first half and I'm nervous and I have to do something like that, and so then I'm going to end on an up bow. That's my plan B. No, it's not going to happen. No shake. Okay, that's my plan B. And for this piece, the plan B is also give yourself more bow. Cut the bow, the long bows into little bits. Make an ethereal sound. You know what I mean? A very sort of like, whoo. So you can start this piece. This is another way of getting over the shakes. You can get play with no pressure, because as soon as pressure's in there, the muscles go. So take the pressure out and turn the interpretation out into one, at least for the first half a piece or something, into something which is like, yeah. To make, we have to survive as players. And that's another thing. The audience, except for today, do not have your music. All right?
Yes.
So you play it and make yourself comfortable first. These, I'm not so sure that all these slurs are meant to be slurs. I think they're brackets of where the harmony is, if you take this apart. Also, I cheat on the very first long note, which if we're playing as a pulse, 2, 3, 4, as in quavers, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just bloody long for a start. So I do ornaments on the first note. Or you can do, and then change bow, and you've already used 2 bows on the first note. This is survival. It's really survival. And I get nervous as well. I'm nervous. I get all the time because we're on the edge. We're risking all the time. It's okay. We're bearing our souls, and it's just something we do. And of course, we're nervous because I don't know. That's how it is. But hey, it doesn't matter. It's only one piece. It'll be gone tomorrow. Okay. I wanted to ask you, I really like the little quirks that you did. Have you taken it apart harmonically?
I didn't make a plan or so.
Okay.
But
Well, yeah.
some moments I thought about a bass line. For example, I was thinking about the very beginning. How long could A be in the bass line?
And what did you get to? What did you
Maybe
get to?
until the first chord. It could be a long, so-called organ.
Yeah. Until for the whole first bar, you mean?
Yes.
Mm?
I tried it actually out with an organ. I just put a pencil on it, and so I could use A all the time. I was just experimenting with it because of course, I have this question too. You know.
Yeah.
Because then I wonder what note could be dissonant. For example, the first note of the second, or the second note of the first bar, the B, can be dissonant if A is the bass line.
Oh, your first bar is, oh, I see. Wait a minute. My first bar is the very first bar, is this one. And this is my second bar.
Second, yes. But this
Yeah.
heavy dissonance.
Yeah,
I
and
was
that's.
yeah
So
about
did you try the A on the second bar? Where did you get to? Do you sing when you play?
not really.
I can't sing either. I just make some sort of funny noises down. So we've got ba, ta, ti, B natural, huh?
It could stay A all the time. That's what I was.
Oh, I see, in that bar as well. Ah,
The
oh,
whole
I
bar
would move it.
until the first chord, this E major chord.
Oh, that whole part. Ah, yes, but you know what you're doing there? You know what you're doing? You're finding the common note through all harmonies. So maybe you found your own common note in all harmonies. You know what would be really interesting would be to arrange it for multiple instruments. I mean, you can put your own interpretation in there. If you like an A running through that, it would sound so interesting if you were to write something. Do that. That would be really brilliant because I love that. You have this piece, it's one line, and you have to find a harmony under it. And we might have different interpretations of what it could be, and then we think, okay, no, I would rather have that. And I think it's so interesting when somebody else has an idea, and if you put it, like, you type it into the computer and then you can hear it when you get to play with a few friends one day together. It would be really interesting. I got something different. So I got a change, not very often. So it's a free tempo, being a Fantasia sort of piece. That's definitely the A minor. And now I've got an E here, an E major. That's why these are so dissonant. These are. A minor. We have the 7 in the chord then in the last beat of the second complete bar. This one. Here's the 7. That's how he can go to A minor, because he sticks in a 7. So these composers are using techniques to move them from one chord to another. They need a 7 to get to A. They don't need a 7, but it's more elegant. And this is what I mean. That's the harmony. So your A is maybe, that would be interesting. Let's just see. Also nice. That's why I think you should just write an arrangement or a piece with it and just follow that. I got a different thing, but this is the beauty of it all. So you have made a new line of some a virtual pedal point with right hand movements on top of it, keyboard right hand movements, which is beautiful. So you've interpreted a pedal point, and I've interpreted the right hand movements.
Okay, I see.
So we've got this. So I need these movements, my harmonic movements, to tell me what's happening approximately. So that's why I also think that the slurs we don't need to play them, because they're telling us that the underlying harmony is not changing. So I think you can be freer with that. I'm just using that as a reason so that I'm allowed to split the bows. final resolution. I got a D, D sharp, E movement. I'm sure you can get an A in all over those places as well. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. Would you like to play?
Yes, I would love to play. From the very beginning again.
Manuel. So, two things. First of all, your first dissonance is very short. But you think the B natural is dissonant, but your audience won't hear that. You can only do that when it's in the arrangement.
So the C has to be longer.
The C this is what I also mean by implied harmony, because the harmony beneath is to an extent implied, especially like this this bit. And they know that the listeners there, they will hear it. They'll hear your implied your on the first beat implied D minor. So they will hear these dissonances. And I would then split the bow in this one, the slur, this bit. What's he doing? Why is he doing that? Is the next question. Why is he doing? Why is he doing that? And then you find the reason for it. Is that in your modern edition like that? He's got two triplets at the end.
That's what I read from the manuscript.
Yeah. But why? I would say, why is he doing it? Is he doing it to get a fluidity? Is it because he wants this quirky sort of shortened sort of way of playing and then get broader?
Sometimes I've got the feeling he's like I see also the point that it's like a fantasia or improvisation. So sometimes he gets to a note and then he thinks, well, where can I go? And then he decides where to go and then he goes there. So for me, I thought it would be like an upbeat to the C.
Yeah, absolutely.
He looks for the direction and then he says, oh, well, there's the C, I want to go there. So
yeah. Okay, yeah, I think so as well. That's absolutely what I think. But how? And it's also he's going from the way that I interpret it, from E major with a 7 down to A minor. So he's got this feeling. It's a very careful. Yeah, he's going there, but it's like, ooh, carefully, E major, E major, E major, A minor, sort of like led around A, E major, A minor. I mean, that's one way of doing it. And I wondered about the very first note. This is another thing. Why is he doing it like this? I think that we shouldn't take what he's written too seriously. So I think like the first note is what we had in Bach's D minor, the 2 bars. It's the introduction. So do something on it. It's at the moment, it's like, I hear, here is a long note. That's what I hear. So you have to think, what does he want? What do I do here? What are we going to have? This could be the A minor introduction, and then the piece starts. He just hasn't written that bit out. You have to do that.
I was like meditating about the first note a lot. And yeah, I had the idea also about doing sort of a introduction to the piece, or a messa di voce, or a crescendo. So now in the end, and I was thinking about up bow or down bow a lot. I tried many things out, and today I just felt like starting with up bow and sort of a crescendo.
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It is. It's a very. Tati's just written there's an improvisatory feeling. It's a very improvised feel. It's got rhythmic elements, and it's got this sort of which I thought you did very nicely, was mixing this rhythmic versus fluidity. I just think as a listener, I didn't quite understand what you want with the first note. I hear he's starting a long note on an up bow.
Maybe look for the tonality. Maybe it's starting with a note and he's not sure where to go.
Yeah, but as a virtuoso violinist, he wouldn't have needed to write down improvisation.
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, he's put it down because he thinks it would be nice for. He's also writing some solo stuff. They did so much improvising, and this is like he's just written down a bit of it. I wonder if you get this feel of the A starting and crescendoing, can you find a way of adding other notes to the first note, but giving that feeling that you want? Because in the end, you're the one playing it. But I didn't understand enough of what you wanted.
I can try.
Yeah, I thought that was very nice. You do things differently than me, which is fine. I'm not going to say anything about that. You've got your own idea of things, which is fine. And really lovely. I have a question. For me, I don't understand why you've done in the third whole bar, why you disconnect this one. I mean, why you disconnect the B, the ha. Why do you start that so much later? For me, it's like the C is very much alone because it's already in itself so new, and then you left it standing on its own. If you want it that way, you need to set it up differently. You need to prepare it so that so that the audience, you can shock them more or something. You know, if you want it that way, it's such a strange bit, isn't it? That one. What
yes.
he's doing there, you know. I think he might be going from A minor to E minor back to A minor, which is odd because the fifth of a key is always in a major, and never mind. So maybe it is major, but not. There's no third. You know, real separation and something completely different. Maybe that's the way.
You were talking about the separation between the C and the B, right? Okay.
Yeah. It wasn't convincing enough, yeah.
I just thought the A was A minor again, and then I was starting something new with a sort of a crescendo to the E. This is, I mean, maybe it also happened without intention.
Yeah, no, I think it was. I just think, can you go from there's a. Yeah. You don't have to do that. This is the interpretation of an editor. I would do. With these sort of pens, they were not that accurate. They didn't go in for accuracy in those days. They just, oh wow, I know what I mean. You know, I know what I mean. And I think you need to do it very convincingly with bow speed change. So a knot and an up bow maybe. I would play that shorter. If you want to do this shock, and then with plenty of time, you can take another down bow, slow. Do you know what I mean? To really bring that out for a different type of shock. I've never thought of that place like that. I like it. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes, yeah, I also came across the question about the slurs, of course. But when I see such a thing, at first my goal or my objective about it is to try first of all to play what is written and see if I can handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, for the bits that
I'm still trying to, or I was trying to keep as much as I can to the manuscript slurs, as far as I could read them.
yeah, for example, the one that comes later, I split that. What do I do again? I can't remember what finger I do. Oh, I remember. Yeah. It's one of these extended ones. You can, yeah, I would split those also because we need to get crescendo, and when we do that by using more bow.
Yeah.
Would you like to go from that bit?
Yeah, okay, this is the one. I haven't quite decided yet.
Do you do a 3-1 on the end of that?
I stay in the second position, yeah.
Oh, you brave man. I could. Yeah. Oh God, you've got such a bigger hand than I have. I really have to go backwards like that for that one.
I try to play it. It's still a trial.
Yeah, and then okay, and then let's go on from there, because the chords are interesting.
So I play from sorry, from where?
Yeah, they're such bastards, aren't they? And they are under high tension, the high strings. All right, so we have to play accordingly. So I think you don't. Before I say something wrong, let me just try. I don't think you need to work that hard. Oh, I've got too much rosin on. The ideal I would like, which I haven't quite got yet today, at least, is to have most bass, least top line. It'll be, and also to the least amount of string movement over the string. Yeah, so less, so very your parabole again, very sort of very sort of flat. I love it how he's setting up the chords by what he does before, and you just leave your fingers there. So we have. So for the audience, I just had to do minimal finger movement, finger change. So it goes. And he's doing that all the time, setting up these chords. I use harmonics here, but not so light so that you hear them as harmonics, but a little bit more pressure. Quite long strokes. I think that's easier for those. And it's a bit like this sideways movement of the finger. Do you know what I mean? So I have and as little lifting of the string as possible is easier for accuracy. You're very good at that, but you're still a little bit high up for my liking.
Okay.
Yeah. How about from if you do something like that, then you have to tell us, you have to explain all the little quirky stuff that you do has to be a bit exaggerated so that we understand what you mean. So so start again. You know, that you have a new start from the B natural, so that we understand that you've made a break, because I do it completely different. I join those two. That's all right. It's just I need to understand what you're doing and why. So why have you done a jump there? It's not. I'm not clear what you want. Yeah. You're making the impression I get is I'm being quirky. This is quirkiness. Skurril. You know, I'm just being like that. But you have to think, what character is it? So you have to lead us a bit more in the affect. Mm-hmm.
For example, I wonder if I can do arpeggio in these points as well.
It depends how you want to go on. He's set up the fingering so that I'm still think that the bit before is not logical enough for me. I mean, it's all about emotions, but I used to get carried away by my emotions while playing far too much. And now I've learned to find, okay, we have to think a little bit while we're playing, not just feel. So what do you do? If you're doing this, why you do, then the bit that follows afterwards has to be slightly different. If you're doing that sort of gesture, continue with it. That'll go on well after that. Yeah, I like that. You've given me some good impulses today to think of this piece. It's brilliant.
Thank you. You too. Yeah. No, I was thinking about this slur as well. I mean, this more a decision because I can't really see until what note the slur goes. Because in the manuscript, it can be from C to C or from C to E. So
you know, Manuel.
Again, this question. I know.
It's not important. It's not important because this was just really a moment in time. Momentaufnahme. He's just done whoosh. It's how you interpret that bit is my music's there. That's why I'm pointing. It's how you interpret that bit is how long you're going to play that slur. So I do a long slur because I do. But if you want to do what you like, this is not strict. They were not strict, right? They would not do the same passage the same way every time. It was almost more virtuosic to be able to change it or fit it with your feelings. Yeah, so so I split that as well. But if you're dramatic, I could do longer bow because it's faster. It's up to you in the end. You have to give the convincing performance, not the piece of paper in front of you.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm so glad you did this, though. This is such a brilliant piece, and it's not played.
I love it. Yeah.
So next time we do the next movements, yeah? Okay?
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, thank you.
Well done, Manuel. Brilliant.
So much.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm marveling at the difference in style between the Bach and the Pisendel, actually. But in terms of the time of composition, they're roughly contemporary with each other, aren't they, those two pieces?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
The Bach and the Pisendel, and the likelihood of Pisendel perhaps even having played the Bach solo violin works. I guess he would have played his own solo violin works. But I love the connection between the two men, the different styles.
Yeah, I think my theory is that Pisendel was in Weimar at one point on his travels, and after that we get a version of Bach's sonatas and partitas. We only have the title page left in Dresden, and Pisendel was in Dresden. So my theory is that he actually took a copy of the Bach to Dresden. So I don't think Bach wrote them for him. I think he wrote them for himself. But I think yes.
Pisendel certainly perhaps played them.
Yeah, I really think yeah. I mean, who wouldn't at that time if you're a virtuoso violinist?
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Manuel.
Well done.
I've got a couple of questions. I know we're at the end of our session, and before I forget, I want to thank you again for performing via the internet. Not by any stretch an easy thing to do. It's almost impossible, actually, to conjure up that emotion when you're playing to your computer screen at home. So thank you so much. We've had lots of lovely comments in through the audience, and I've got a couple of questions. I've got one from Marco in Guatemala, actually, asking, should we add Italian ornaments to Bach and Telemann, or do we have to follow C.W. Gluck indication about not adding in things other than what the composer wrote?
Well, I mean, Gluck, it was his opinion. So each person had a different opinion. Quantz wrote his treatise, and he wrote a whole load of things. And I think when I read his treatise, I thought, I don't think I would have liked the way he played. It's very, very subjective. I think we can add ornaments, and it's up to the person if you put it in with sensitivity, and taste. But taste is very, very subjective. Yes, we can do ornaments in Bach stuff. I like it when it's a lighter sort of movement, like a gavotte. And you can add a few things here, especially when it's a rondo and it comes back. Bach ornaments himself. I mean, what is this? This. Here, this is an ornament. It's just Bach ornaments with triplets. He likes a triplet type. So I like to sometimes try and take what I think of as a Bach style ornament, a figure I might find in some of his other music, and use that to ornament. But why not use our own style? We are the interpreters as well. I mean, it's a fine line. You can do too much, but who's to say what is too much? I mean, taste is, who's to be the judge of it?
You have to try it sometimes to find out, don't you, if it's too much. You experiment. I mean, it's exaggerate, basically, and you'll know. There's a question from Els as well. about Bach, not so much ornamentation, but how much liberty can we take with interpreting the manuscripts regarding slurs? I mean, you've addressed that a little bit already, and
well, we have to think. I think if we put ourselves back in those days, it's quite interesting. There's some manuscripts where you find the slurs that a composer's written the music, and they start towards the end of the copying process to put the slurs in. So at some point, I can't remember exactly which composer it was, but it was very interesting. You get the slurs starting to come in at the end of the piece, and modern editors have then interpreted that to put it everywhere. Now, for example, also in what was his name? Bach's copyist in Leipzig, maybe one of you knows that out there offhand. He wrote out a lot of Bach's scores, and in part form for the musicians to play them, and he added slurs, he added trills, because there wasn't anything in the Bach manuscript, but obviously he felt the need to, but he was only the copyist, he was a big copyist, but he added things. So it's to try and strengthen the musicality. So a slur has different meanings to different composers. We just have to try and find out what the composer is trying to get in emotionally from that music. And in the end, it's like a dialect. If you speak it strongly, if I speak German strongly enough with a dialect, people will notice my grammatical errors less. And now that I've started speaking more High German with less of a dialect, I used to have a Southern dialect, people notice my grammatical errors far more. And I've had that as well. If we play musically, really as much music as possible, people will notice small faults, intonation slips, whatever. They will notice less. So if we take this music and we don't think of it as here's a slur, there's a dot, oh, and that's not a dot, that's a dagger, and there's a trill, there's a forte, there's a piano. If we take away this and we think, let's take that and to focus it into an emotional aspect and content, it becomes imbued with meaning. It has a meaning, and that's what it needs. Otherwise, there's no point in having a slur there. It needs to have a meaning. So we have to fill it with this emotion, and it doesn't matter if we have a slur or not.
There's a brilliant version of the Bach cello suites. I can't remember who produced it, but the editor took everything out, actually. So you get each suite just notes, and actually you have to work out the meaning yourself, actually. And because Bach is such a clever writer, it's there anyway, if you let the music tell you what it's trying to. So I with that, I love to approach it that way first, rather than have the meaning imposed, because as you know, the copyists aren't accurate, and once you've got an idea fixed on the page, it's harder to move away from it, isn't it? I find.
Yes, yeah, and especially if you're using an edition where it's already gone through somebody else's eyes and interpretation. I mean, I write things into music programs all the time, and you have to make decisions where the slur is starting and where it's ending. You just have to make the decision. You can't put it, well, yeah, you can put it between two notes, but that's a lot of work. So we just say, okay, well, it goes like that. I know what I mean. And I say, because I'm the one using the music, I say, oh, I know what I mean. I'll put that in when I'm bowing the parts. I'll do that later. And they do that as well. They go whoosh. Okay, well that's because they're going oh, you go like that. Or I'll do whoosh like this and whoosh like this. And we're so much more nowadays that we have. It has to be the same here, like it is at the end. The theme has to be like this, and then it has to come back and has to sound like has exactly the same articulation or things like that. We are so compressed in this world of things having to be uniform, and that was not the mindset of the Baroque.
Absolutely. Well, I've got one more question. I know a few people have to log off now, so just before we come to the final question, I just wanted to thank those of you who I know need to disappear. Thank you for tuning in. We're able to give these masterclasses free of charge at the moment, although I think in the future that will probably have to change as we've run out of funding. But if you've enjoyed the class and you feel like buying us a virtual cup of coffee, you can do so by logging onto our website, the CAF donate button. It's all very much appreciated. And also, if you want to support us in other ways, log on to YouTube, find our channel on YouTube and subscribe, because the more subscribers we have who actually watch our material, it all helps. Likewise, Spotify, all those kind of things. We're easy enough to find on YouTube. We've got a blue plaque logo there. So that's been greatly appreciated. And thank you, Rachel. One final question, I believe, from Madge Martin in France. Can you recommend a couple of tuning apps?
I can indeed. Where's my phone? Oh dear. Well,
I've got ClearTune on my phone. ClearTune's a fairly standard one.
ClearTune's a fairly standard one. The thing with these apps is that when they've got a temperament on it, they're sometimes a bit weird. Airyware is another one. That's Air, AIRYWARE, and that's quite good. Yeah, it's in one word exactly.
Okay.
That sounds Spanish. With the yeah, and that's quite a good one, especially if you're tuning in an orchestra, and it's got lots of different temperaments. I think it's almost better than the ClearTune app. ClearTune is very simple. It's got simple stuff, and but it's not working so well on my phone anymore. I think the Airyware is something I'm going to try, but they do cost a little bit, but it's not much. It's not much.
No, I mean, certainly ClearTune was just a couple of pounds sterling a few years ago. I think it depends how often you update, how often they work. And I would say if you're working to a tuning app, persevere. It can be quite soul destroying at first, because you think however much you play, especially if you play on your own a lot, you think, oh, I'm perfectly in tune. And then you stick the app on and you think, oh, actually, no, I'm really way off. And you get into your own tuning system as a soloist. And then often when we're coming together as a band again, which hopefully, all being well with travel, we'll be together again in a couple of months, Rachel, there'll be a period of readjustment, actually, because we all have our own internal tuning systems. And for me as a cellist, I always tune my G and C quite high. And then it's a question of adapting to the harpsichord. You were mentioning how you tune your E string when there's no harpsichord around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, naughty, huh?
I know, we get used to our own ways. So actually persevere with the tuning app and just go slowly would be my advice, actually, rather than expecting it to be right every note you hit first time. But I don't think we've got any more questions. So it just remains for me to thank you, Rachel, for giving up your time on this gorgeously sunny afternoon in Hamburg. And thank you.
Pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much. Well played, everyone. Well done. You did the hard work, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautifully played. It's such a great thing, actually. There's been a lot of awful things about lockdown, but actually this is one of the real positives to come out of it, that we can communicate this way so well. I know it's lovely to be together, but actually we wouldn't normally have had people tuning in from Guatemala for our masterclasses, so that's pretty fantastic. I'm having and one more comment. Could it be a nice idea to do a masterclass on ornamentation? Yes, absolutely. We've got lots of plans. All I would say is keep looking at our website. We have a Brook Street Band at home page and updates are put there. Equally, sign up to our mailing list. We hardly ever send emails because we know people don't like getting too many emails. So you don't get bombarded, but sign up to the mailing list also on the website, and then we can tell you what our plans are. There's a thank you from Peter from everybody to everybody. But thank you, Helen and Manuel and Morag, for joining us, and look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully.